WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
The longest-running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio.
And he's obviously Michael Cole.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Talking wrestling.
Yeah.
Because that's what this show's about. That's what we've been doing for over 16 years.
No. It's about sports entertainment.
And now, here are your hosts of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon and Lucas DeSangro.
Will you stop marking out over there?
Sorry.
Move over, kid. I'm taking your microphone.
You're shallow. You know that?
I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. I don't remember what the hell I do anymore. There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly, here at a special time on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you on this Valentine weekend alongside the closest thing to my Valentine, Lucas DeSangro.
Yeah, not quite prime time, if you will. That was a terrible Dusty Rhodes impression, but you get the gist.
Yes, this is a special show, partly because of the basketball doubleheader that we had earlier, a special time, and also a special day, as it was 17 years ago today. That's right, that this very program made its debut on WBCB. From Slack's Hoagie Shack, Eric the Loose Cannon Gargiulo and Rob Feinstein of RF Video co-hosting at the time. Rob would go on to continue things with his video ventures that he's still doing very well in today. And Eric holding the helm of this program for a little over a decade, and then he passed the torch over to me, and it's pretty much gone downhill ever since, for lack of a better term. Okay, that's enough of Janice Ian in the background, just having a little fun with the whole at 17 thing. Having a lot of fun there with that. And also, I was going to say, special guests all around here, including, we're going to get right to him on the line because he's calling from quite a ways away. We're going international today, as we're going north of the border all the way to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. One part of Canada that I have to admit I'm not too terribly familiar with. I know a lot about Ontario, though. Let's get to Jordan J Garber, who's on the line. Jordan, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? It's great to be here on 1490 WBCB on Pro Wrestling Weekly. And how are you guys doing today? It's great to be here.
We're doing fantastic. I was gonna say a little background for the listeners here. This was kind of a synergy that came out of nowhere. Forever ago, I think you had followed me on Twitter. I forget exactly how. I think maybe I know you were doing some writing for the what the deuce Bruce Wirtz thing. The
VOC Nation.
The VOC Nation. Thank you. I again, running on minimal sleep, a few things tend to go from the old memory bank. Yeah, so you probably saw that and saw that I was also here in the Philadelphia area, started following me, and since I was starting to ever slowly but surely figure out what this new Periscope thing is on the internets and the apps and all those fun things, to say the least, I decided to follow a video of yours, and that was where we got to chatting, and I'd mentioned that I had this radio program here, and you were like, oh, well, I'm a wrestling journalist or a budding wrestling journalist. Any chance I can hop on the show? And I was like, absolutely. And here we are. So tell us a little bit of the story of Jordan J Garber.
Well, I first started watching wrestling when I was a late bloomer. I started watching when I was 14 or 15 years old. And then I remember I went to a show, and I did my first ever interview. I think it was after a year, because one of the wrestlers recommended it. And then from that point on, I had my own little site. I didn't do anything really that big. I just did email interviews. And then I did some audio radio shows in 2013. And then from there, in 2014, I got the honor to work with Bruce Hart. And then from there, I got the chance to work with Brady Hicks 2 years later of the VOC Nation. And while working with the VOC Nation, actually, I had the honor to be on hundreds of wrestling sites, because I had these interviews that I was involved with. And you guys know who Brady Hicks is, the name that guy is. So I'm on all these major wrestling websites with all these big name interviews, and I'm like, man, I remember when I was a kid, and I was just starting out on the journalism side of the business, and I didn't think I would go this far, but now I'm interviewing all these mega stars, and now it's on all these websites, and honestly, it was a dream come true for all that to happen for me. And honestly, I can really say that I'm deeply honored by all the accomplishments that I've encountered in the wrestling business.
Yeah, it's amazing how it just kind of comes up as a groundswell. And I mean, you're not exactly. I mean, you have a lot of time to go. You're still very young in the business. I mean, you're only 20, right? 20 years old.
I'm only 20 years old. Yeah, and I've refed before. I wasn't really good at that. That was short notice. But I had the chance to ref a show out of town. It was quite controversial because I actually wasn't trained to ref that show. I was just given a quick crasher course, and they said, "Okay, get in the ring and ref." So I wasn't ready, but I did have some reffing experience in the ring, and I had some ring announcing experience in the ring. So I'm 20 years old, being on the road with the boys. I'm learning a lot about the business. I'm showing the wrestlers respect, and I'm trying all these new things out in the business. And for me, it's like, what an honor to, like, I'm watching all this stuff as a kid, and now I'm actually out there interviewing these big names that you've seen on TV and reffing in the ring and ring announcing and doing all that. And it's just one of those things where it's like, wow, I have never thought this would happen, and I'm very grateful for it happening, honestly.
Yeah, most certainly. I feel that's how Lucas and I have felt so far doing a lot of the stuff that we've done over the last, couple of years in his case, and, gosh, closing in on 7 years in my case.
Seriously, it really, it's amazing where businesses like, wrestling can take you. When I was just starting out, I was just a sophomore in high school. I didn't really know what I was, I didn't really have a lot of, stuff to do. And when I met Fearon and I decided to do the show, it just opened up so many doors. I mean, without doing the show, I wouldn't have been able to start training and wouldn't have gotten to meet a lot of awesome people. It definitely, I can relate on that. It's a great industry.
And I totally heard about your training that you guys are associated with Monster Factory Pro Wrestling, and you guys know the credibility that school has. So definitely, it's one of those things where it's like you never thought you would go this far, but yet you still have a long way to go, sort of thing.
You ain't kidding. Only difference is Lucas here has more time to do so than I do. By the time he gets to be my age, I'll be up for AARP.
Well, I also know what you've done in the business as well, Fearon, and definitely you've accomplished a lot, and definitely for you, there's definitely more to come. And I think there's more to come for all of us, indeed.
Yeah, it's certainly, I don't know, I'm kind of sometimes without words when it comes to a lot of these things. It's usually where I turn to Lucas to kind of fill in the gaps. Well, he's good at that sort of thing.
Well, I think the thing about time is, you may not have a lot of it, but it doesn't mean you can't make the most of it. Here's the thing.
Get bleep done? Is that where you were going with that?
No.
Oh, okay.
But you had to, so that's not my fault this time, Fearon. So how does that feel? I'm gonna get chopped.
I don't know where you're going with that.
Role reversals are coming. I'm gonna get chopped during the commercial break this time, guys. Yeah. But yeah, it's just it's a lot of fun to do stuff like this, and especially with a school like the Factory, it's quite a prestigious school. You sort of have to not screw up.
Yeah, that's accurate. It's kind of one of those unavoidable things, though. So now, what do you have what do you have currently going in the works? I mean, are you writing for some things, just kind of getting your name out there a little bit more? What exactly?
Process of a little bit of both. I do mostly the podcast. I've done some writing before, and I plan to do a lot more writing in the future. But right now, I'm on a show mostly every Thursday. I know the past 2 Thursdays it didn't work out because of my other job for the time being, but I worked for Angry Marks with Stevie J. He's a pretty well-known guy. He works for the Wrestling Observer, and I'm on their show every Thursday, or when I'm available to be, and I work for angrymarks.com. And like I said, I'm doing some writing in the future for a few websites. Just stay tuned about that on my Twitter, at Jordan J Garber. And pretty much right now, that's what it's at. I do my own personal podcast from time to time. Probably once every few weeks, I'll get a guest on. I think next month I have a former WWE ref on. So that's doing pretty good. I'm not going too crazy as I was before during my VOC Nation days. but definitely in the future, a lot is coming up. But for the time being, I am on angrymarks.com every Thursday on Thursday night AMP, and of course, definitely more information about future podcasts that I will be on my Twitter at Jordan J Garber, like I said.
There we go. Looking forward to a lot of fun things. I was gonna say this hour's already flying by so quickly. We'll have to network to see if we can get you on for a little bit longer, just because of the special nature of this show, the anniversary and whatnot, and also the time slot. A lot of people who aren't usually available at noon Eastern, which would be 11 o'clock your time, are jamming the phone lines, to say the least. Yeah, definitely love to chat a little bit more with you. Yeah, see what other fun stuff we can kind of get together here. But appreciate you coming on and kind of getting yourself out there a little bit, telling a little bit of your story. We'll definitely be able to do a little bit more behind the scenes. Things have been kind of bouncing back and forth, or we weren't sure if you were going to be on this week or next week, or it's been a little bit fun and a little bit hectic with live radio. You never know what's going to happen.
Definitely. Well, I do honestly appreciate the opportunity to be on the show tonight. It's definitely a good thing to be on.
Not a problem. So we'll be hearing more from Jordan coming up. Again, that's at Jordan J Garber, Garber. Definitely want to check him out on the various forms of social media. And looking forward to hearing a lot more from you soon. Thanks so much for chiming in all the way from Manitoba, Canada.
Not a problem. You have yourselves a great day.
All right. Thanks, Jordan. You do the same. You weren't going to throw in it's Winnipeg, or I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot?
I was going to.
Oh.
Didn't give me enough.
I didn't give you. I didn't have the chance to sneak it in there.
It's fine. But hey, all joking aside, this week has been quite eventful for wrestling fans.
Yeah, there's a lot to get into. We'll hit those, and then we'll get to the jammed phone lines on the other side of a fairly quick timeout. We'll get to Eric and Joe, who have been hanging on. But I guess first and foremost, Daniel Bryan. In case you've been living under a rock, well, okay.
Okay, a rock, not the rock. You know.
Yeah, no, he's already got a wife for that at this point.
Yeah.
Aren't they expecting their second kid? I think we're.
No, they already
had their kid, or yeah,
their first kid. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think they have another one on the way.
Already?
Yeah, it's The Rock. The people's swimmers do their thing.
I was gonna say, yeah, a lot of wait for a little bit in January. A lot of Rock babies are popping out. That classic WrestleMania 30 line.
Exactly. But yeah. Those who obviously might have missed it, okay, I don't know who that would be, but yes, this past Monday on Raw, Daniel Bryan announcing his retirement based on the numerous head and neck injuries that he had, and he had the chance on Tuesday to speak with ESPN's Jonathan Coachman regarding a number of topics, including the number of documented concussions that he has, which the answer to that was 10, so who knows how many undocumented ones that he had. As well as what led to the retirement announcement and more. And he also finished up the interview asking how fans want to remember him. And I don't know, do we want to pull up a little bit? Yeah, I guess we'll quickly pull up a little bit of that audio courtesy of ESPN. First, this is Jonathan Coachman asking what led up to the retirement announcement.
How did you find out that your career was going to be over?
I went to New York City. I had taken multiple EEGs before, and for those who don't know, EEGs are measuring the electrical brain currents and that sort of thing. But this is a new sort of test that they're doing in the EEG while they're doing reflex testing. And so that's actually measuring how the electrodes are going through your brain as you're doing reflexes and reflex stuff. And all my other EEGs had come out great, right? My EEGs had come out great, my brain MRIs had come out great, my neuropsychological tests had come out great. So I was looking for something further to support my claim that I could come back to wrestling. But what this had found was that I had some slowing, and I think what they said is a small subacute or chronic lesion in my temporal parietal region, which is an area of the brain that causes seizures. And one of the things that's been hard about this is that I have had post-concussion seizures that I've hid for a long time. There was never any evidence to see why I would have these seizures. But then we finally found some.
So, yeah, there you have it. Not good stuff, to say the least, when you're hiding post-concussion seizures.
Yeah.
That's just some scary stuff.
It really is.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, no. Are you going to do another audio clip? Or?
I was gonna play the other clip, and then I realized that we're coming up against it, and we want to get to the phone calls. But I was just gonna sum up that Daniel Bryan, as far as being remembered, he didn't want to necessarily be remembered. He just wanted for those who had attended a show and saw him just to enjoy the moment. And he told a story about a moment that his family had at one of his first shows. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, the Ravishing Rick Rude Ultimate Warrior thing?
Yeah. The thing, it really sort of, the news hit me harder than a lot of people. And I think I could say the same for, also a lot of people. It's funny, you know, I kept thinking about how it stunk that he was going to retire because his career seemed unfulfilled, but then I think, or at least his career in WWE was unfulfilled, but it really wasn't if you think about it. It was short. Yeah, he was only there for 6 years, but if you look at what he did in those 6 years, let's put it this way. He became a four-time, or maybe like, I don't know, a multiple time world champion, and he held every single title that was like available for him to hold, besides the NXT title. But you look at the main card titles. He was a tag team champion, Intercontinental champion, United States champion. If you want to talk about Grand Slam champion right there, Daniel Bryan in 6 years, that's unheard of. And
yeah, he was able to do a lot of things in a very short period of time in WWE, and nobody will be able to take away that WrestleMania 30 moment.
Oh my God, it's that the momentum he had going into that. That's what I'm going to remember the most about Daniel Bryan, is that whole Yes movement. Because first of all, when I started watching it, that was going on right when I started with this show. And this show, but also watching that storyline happen, made me fall in love with wrestling again. And it was such a great moment. Like, you know, my brother came into my room to watch the main event with me, and the fact that my brother hasn't watched wrestling in years was doing the yes chant with me when he won that title. It was just like, it's such a bone-chilling experience that you wouldn't be able to recreate if you tried.
That's one of those moments that Daniel Bryan was talking about in the interview. It's a really good thing. Anyway, we are up against it, so we'll take care of a little bit of business. We'll come back. We've got some CM Punk news to talk about. Titus O'Neil, his name has come up quite a bit over the course of the week. Quite a few different things here. And then on the other side, we'll get to Eric and Joe as well. This is a special anniversary edition of Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB, as well as online at WBCB1490.com.
Got the Luigi death stare from Fearon, so we might have to...
I didn't give you the Luigi death stare. That's not true.
You're breaking kayfabe.
Breaking kayfabe. Gonna break something else during this commercial.
There we go. That's what I like to see.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your hosts, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Are we getting into that controversy again?
I know how it feels, and it's not fun.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. One thing that is fun, this show.
Oh, yes, it is.
We've been doing so for 17 years now. Well, I can't say that we personally have, but the show has been, the funness of the show has been around for 17 years. I'm fortunate enough to have been here for almost 7 of those. You've been here for 2.5 years already. How about that?
Time does certainly fly when you're having fun, and like we said before, this show is fun. Yeah.
And it does fly elsewhere, too. I was going to throw another place out there, but then I'd probably get hit or something. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the lines before before we read some more news stories. I was going to say before I say something that'll keep me from getting to 18 years. So let's go. Man, there's a lot of North Midwestern love here, as now we're going to Minnesota. And Eric, what's going on? Eric from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. How the heck are you?
Not much. over the break, I did figure out it's about an 8-hour drive or so from where I'm at to Winnipeg. So maybe Jordan and I might need a hookup to have a Winnipeg, Minnesota connection.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh, that would be nice.
And did I also hear that this is an anniversary show?
That is correct. It was 17 years ago today that this very program debuted, well, in the form of pro wrestling radio on WBCB here.
It's only apropos for me to call it on an anniversary show since I actually got into listening to wrestling radio through this station, this show, and Eric Arjula.
How about that? And I'll actually, since I know you're the one who has been, I guess pressing might be a little strong of a word, but has been gently nudging for the course of the last few years. I've actually been working with our new program director, Sean Lerman, as far as RSS feeds and whatnot. We are working on getting a WBCB podcast network that will allow us to upload things to iTunes. So 6 almost 7 years after you had first asked about it, I might actually finally be able to figure this damn thing out.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
yes.
whenever you guys get it up, you guys get it up.
Yeah, well, apparently, I haven't heard back from Sean, but he is using one of my episodes as a guinea pig just to test things out, work the bugs out and whatnot. But there's more on that as that is developing, because I will admit, technologically, I'm the personification of buffoonery when it comes to technology.
And hey, maybe you'll get to see some special uncensored episodes. What do you like? I've been pushing for that for a while too.
You just want the ability to curse.
That's not the only reason. It's part of it. Okay, I'll be honest. It's a good chunk of it, but that's not the only reason.
I'm 17. I'm cool. I want to drop F-bombs all over the place.
No, I'm 17. I'm not cool whatsoever. I want to put on spandex for a living and roll around in a ring. Play fighting, okay, as the non-wrestling fan would say. And to them, I'd say, yeah,
you'd
right.
say some of those F-bombs that you're not allowed to drop here.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, the cursing would be nice, but the bathroom isn't the only reason I bought I didn't, but my parents bought their house. There's other reasons. I'm just saying.
You went that direction with it?
Yeah, that was the best thing I could...
That was the best thing you could say. That's why you want the uncensored show.
That's the best thing I could have pulled, out of thin air. Or some other places that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like you pulled it from somewhere else.
If just some... But you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely pulled it out of your... Good job. Anyway.
Back to Eric,
yes.
Something that I wanted to also talk to you guys about is Daniel Bryan's retirement. And kind of you guys were talking before the break that, yes, it was brought upon not by the company, but by the fans. And something that seems like it happens roughly every 10 years, back in 2004 with Chris Benoit and back in 94 with Bret Hart. And I feel like Daniel Bryan's more of, I guess, the modern-day Bret Hart, and when it comes to being a smaller guy in the ring when Vince wants to push nothing but bodybuilders.
Yeah, I mean there are definitely some similarities.
You know what the best, there really are some similarities, but I just wanted to bring up that I forgot about that. Like, he's under 6 foot, and he's like not even 200 pounds, and that was another reason I think a lot of the smaller guys like Daniel Bryan, because we looked at him and thought we could do that.
Yeah. I mean, heck, I'm even giving this thing a go.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
What about you, Eric? What made you what really drew you to Daniel Bryan?
It's just, like I said, he wasn't a quote-unquote company guy. That it's something that I thought he's a guy that, like you said, Lucas, that I could relate to. He's, not the stereotypical good-looking pro wrestler, good-looking guy that just, the beard and just being different is what brought me into being a fan of Daniel Bryan.
Well, there we go. I'll have to get up there, and I'll be the new beard of WWE.
I don't know.
New beard rocks. New beard rocks.
You could get. I don't know. The Wyatt family sort of got that covered for right now, but.
Yeah, true. I am a little bit scraggly, like an Eric Rowan or Luke Harper.
I'm just...
And they already have a black sheep in Braun Strowman, so I can't even go that route. And Lucas is done.
You always have to go there. I'm just concerned I'm not going to be able to grow a beard because, I'm Italian. We're not known for our facial hair. We're known more for mustaches than anything, but I don't want a mustache. It's not my thing. It's not my bag, baby.
And this would be the perfect moment for an uncensored show for a perfect response that I'd have. Okay, you're making a point.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll save that one for the next commercial break.
Back to Eric.
Another thing I know Lucas, you mentioned before the break was Daniel Bryan's a Grand Slam champion, and to tie it back in from, I guess, yesteryear, similarities with him and his trainer being Shawn Michaels. I was thinking about it this past week, and both guys gave up the Intercontinental titles and World titles over their careers.
Oh, yeah. In fact, one of those occurrences actually falls a little bit later in today in wrestling history.
Yeah, I think like roughly 19 years ago this past week, if I remember correctly.
I mean, I don't want to go too crazy into it, but you're rolling your eyes at me for over there, Lucas.
It's actually my eye twitch.
You really think I'm going to buy that?
I would hope you do, considering it's something I can't help.
Yeah, next thing you know, you're going to say you have a middle finger twitch too, right?
No, actually, I wouldn't.
Way to just deadpan that.
Well, yeah.
Bob Newhart would be proud.
Yep. No, I know who Bob Newhart is, so yeah.
Anyway.
Awkward silence.
Good job.
Awkward silence.
Oh, good. Your eyes are back to normal now.
Back to Eric.
Well, I guess I want to leave you guys one more point. I know I mentioned Chris Benoit a few minutes ago. Do you guys feel like with the evolution of professional wrestling, with Eddie Guerrero's passing and the tragedy with Chris Benoit and the concussions with Daniel Bryan's career, do you feel like wrestling starting to move to become a safer sport in a sense?
We've definitely seen a lot of elimination of a lot of things. Well, not a lot, but some substantial things. Like let's see what was different from 2006 than 2016. They were still doing chair shots to the head. They were still having bloodbath matches. They were still doing the pile driver. You see a lot.
Headbutt.
And also, I think they're sort of following suit with the NFL. A lot of the concussion studies and tests and stuff like that, they definitely,
have caused them to augment their product.
Yeah. Because they sort of, I guess they realize that, hey, this is a big deal. And I really think the final blow was Benoit for the WWE. You really saw them sort of take out a lot of the chair shots to the head and everything, and that's I'd say it definitely has changed tremendously.
Oh, goodness.
I feel like it's been for the better, too, with, like I said, the lack of chair shots, head shots, and everything, and pile drivers. I feel like the business is becoming more safe than what it once was, like I said, like 10 years ago.
Although, on the flip side, I think Fearon can agree with me on this. I think at least once or twice a year, they should have, one, blowout, bloodbath match. I'm not saying John Cena, JBL 2005 Judgment Day, but, give them one or two matches a year where they can, like a no-holds-barred match where they can blade. Just to, get it out of the system, of all the fans.
Their system.
Well, no, not get it out of the fan system, It
makes it stand out a little bit more, too.
Yeah, they need to get rid of a lot of it is, they've done a lot more gimmicky pay-per-views.
Yeah, the Hell in a Cell, TLC.
You look back at, in the territory.
Elimination Chamber.
Oh, yeah. But I like the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. I like that concept. The Money in the Bank, I understand. But, let's put it this way. You look back in the territory days, a steel cage match used to mean something. It used to mean the place
culmination of a feud.
You never wanted a feud to get to that place. And now it's hey, tune in every October or whatever, or every now and then on Raw, which, it's like, save them for pay-per-views.
Yeah, give it meaning. I guess that's the problem. Is they're writing for the time frame as opposed to I don't know. There's a lot that we could get into with that. Anyway, Eric, I was gonna say we're quickly coming up against the time. Thank you so much for chiming in. I know that the later time slot here allows you to chime in, and it's certainly appreciated.
And thank you guys for calling in. And to tie back in with Jay Bill versus John Cena, Judgment Day 2005, I was there live.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that? See? Wrestling comes full circle in a lot of different ways.
So, yeah, thanks for taking my call, guys.
No problem. Greatly appreciate it. Eric from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. All right. Let's go ahead and get to Joe from Pemberton Square, who's been hanging on ever so patiently. Joe, thank you so much. Welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Hey, thank you very much, guys. I just want to say, first of all, congratulations on 17 years of Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's greatly appreciated. It's amazing how much the time has gone by. I mean, I'm thinking next month it'll be 7 years for me, and it feels like just yesterday I was starting out and not having a clue as to what the heck I was doing, and now here I am almost 7 years later, and I'm still not having a clue as to what the heck I'm doing.
I was going to say the same for me.
Well, I'll tell you what. To make a long story short, back in 1991, a wrestling show that was in the Philadelphia area, Wrestling Radio, with Joel Goodhart.
Yes.
Folded for the final time. And for a guy like me who was, at that time, I was 14 years old, and I know I'm dating myself, that was my inside track to the wrestling business. They didn't have computers, internet, and inside stuff back then. So when you heard it over the air like that, it was something. You felt like you're in with the business. But I got to say, with you guys being on the air, when this show first came on the air back in 1999, it made me a happy person. Even though the technology was better and you can get more inside stuff with the web and things like that, it still made me happy. And even today in 2016, it just proves that professional wrestling, and yes, it's professional wrestling, I don't call it sports entertainment, is relevant in terrestrial radio. If you're driving in your car, forget the podcast, forget about the cell phone and things like that. You can tune in your AM station, WBCB preferably, little plug there,
of course,
and listen to a good show. And I just want to say I wish you guys nothing but the best in the coming years, and hope you guys do great. And I also wish I had a better telephone that didn't make me sound like a 12-year-old girl over the air.
Well, I was going to say, you can hardly do worse than Lucas in his early days. Oh. That is not fair.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Exactly. I could pull some of those up, but I'd probably end up getting hit for them.
No, it's fine.
I'm a celebrity now.
Oh, yeah, that, ooh.
Yeah. How's that for a flashback?
Ooh. To do that now, you'd have to, you'd have to hit me a certain place for my voice to sound like that.
Well, we won't need to be doing that. We got to keep it.
I know how it feels, and it's not fun. Right in the middle of the guy talking. Come on.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Jim Foxwell does it all the time with the news guys, so I can do it once.
Anything goes in the world of professional wrestling. You take care, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate the phone call, as always.
Well,
it's one of those things. It's one of those carte blanche things I can do as a broadcast journalist.
I love it. We're getting people calling in. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, the show's just flying on by. We're already. I got so much crap I still have to do.
So do I.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you go ahead and we'll let you have this one.
It's
Was that your eye twitch again?
Yeah, I'm legit. I do have an eye twitch. I'm serious.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
All right.
So, there was Punk's UFC fight was delayed again. CM Punk had back surgery on Wednesday to repair a herniated disc from his wrestling days. The disc had worsened to the point where it prevented him from training for his UFC fight. According to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, Punk will need to wait another 4 to 6 weeks to start training again, meaning his scheduled fight against Mickey Gall for UFC 199 is off. But Punk could debut at UFC 200 or UFC 201 in the late summer. I think that's actually, to be completely honest, I think that's more of like a landmark thing, UFC 200, Punk, Gall, that could be that could sell some tickets.
Well, and it's going to emanate from that new 20,000-seat arena in Vegas that they built.
So they're not going to do it from MGM Grand?
No, this is a bigger venue, which I think they're also looking to try to bring, I forget if it's a basketball or a hockey team to Vegas. They're trying to get one of the 4 major professional sports to have a team in Vegas, but for a litany of reasons, the various professional leagues are a little hesitant just because of the gambling and pro sport nature that already occurs there.
I gotta say though, Punk did show a sense of humor about the surgery. This is like on a side note, as he tweeted a picture of himself doing his from his recovery bed with Stone Cold, photoshopping the picture, swinging the bedpan.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say, I'm one of those people that it's a rare commodity in the wrestling world that still supports Punk. I think a lot of wrestling fans are hurt by the fact that he was with wrestling and now he's not, because you see the internet just turned on him. Like I feel like the internet would never, I couldn't fathom the internet turning on Punk, and then it happened. And
well, to be fair, there was a little while where you were not exactly thrilled with him either.
Well, yeah, I wasn't.
I can pull the tape if you want.
No, you can pull the tape. I wasn't thrilled with him leaving, but I wasn't
done with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's look at me sounding like I broke up or something like that. It's like it's over.
Well, it is Valentine's weekend.
Oh God. But seriously, I still support Punk. I want him to succeed, and I don't think he's making excuses like he has a herniated disc. There, when you're wrestling, stuff like that can happen. Granted, I don't have a lot of experience to say that, but I know people, that. Or I've you see it happen. People, just want to keep wrestling because maybe they're in the middle of a push. They don't. You saw it with Daniel Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about this earlier.
He was turning away post-concussion seizures just to try to get back in the ring.
Yeah. The thing with me is the negativity towards Punk. Even if he wins his fight, it's like, oh, well, that fight was fixed, and it's like, oh, they're gonna put him up against a lunch bucket rookie. Well, no, yeah, obviously. You know why? He's also a rookie in the UFC. He doesn't have a lot of fighting experience. They're treating him they're marketing him.
Yeah, you kind of have to start off with Glass Joe before you can take on Mike Tyson.
Yeah, why would you? Very good Punch-Out reference, right?
Of course.
I just think it's hilarious how people think, oh, well, he's going to get his butt whooped in UFC. Well, yeah, if he does, then no wonder he's new. Would you really expect him to, sign him and then just put him right up against, somebody I don't know, Conor McGregor? Or I don't know what weight class he's fighting in, but, that wouldn't make sense.
Exactly.
It really wouldn't. So, yeah, best of luck to Punk. I hope he gets a speedy recovery. I'm looking forward to his first fight. I can't wait to hear just Bruce, first time watching it live on television, and hear, Bruce Buffer go, "It's time!" Be pretty awesome to see.
But he wouldn't say clobber in time necessarily. Save that for Punk.
I hope he uses the Cult of Personality theme or something along those lines.
Yeah, it would certainly be fitting. Anyway, we've got a little bit more business to take care of. This hour is, as I said, quickly flying by, and that means around this time, I got to tell you, well, you know what I got to tell you about. Last week, people voted wisely at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA. A new Bubba's Tea Bag has been determined, an ale brewed with cinnamon plum tea. Yeah, let that one sink in for a second. That was actually the one that I had chose out of the initial 6 that the irregular members got to, I guess, vote in the primaries. So I'm glad that my favorite of the 6 made it all the way to be elected in.
Glad to see our priorities are set. Primaries for presidential election, who cares? Primaries for beer, count me in.
Well, the primaries for the presidential election haven't happened here yet.
Or the New Hampshire.
Well, are we in New Hampshire?
It's a joke, Fearon, all right? It's a joke. There's a job for you.
I'm sure, yeah, that could be used for a number of different things. Anyway, it'll be hitting the taps soon. You definitely don't want to miss it. And speaking of tea, it is a firkin' awesome Saturday. In fact, right now, the Goblet is tapping a firkin of Broken Batch Tea Bag, a lavender citrus dry hopped ale.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Lavender citrus.
Yeah, they tapped it at 4. I don't know if I'll be able to get over there before it runs out. Hopefully you can, though. So let me know how it was. Open Wednesday through Sunday. It's always a good time at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA. Broken Goblet Brewing, the semi-official brewery of Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Yeah.
And it is frickin' awesome.
It is. Speaking of places you should head to, George's Cards and Collectibles is bringing you the sports greats, including this weekend with the Neshaminy Mall Sports Cards and Collectibles Show, a great place to pick up a last-minute sports collectible for Valentine's Day tomorrow. And hey, wrestling fans, while you're at it, maybe crack open a nice can of Sandweiser, because former ECW star The Sandman will appear at the Neshaminy Mall location on Saturday, February 27th from 1 to 3 p.m. Check out George's 3 locations: the original store at 7755 New Falls Road in Levittown, in the Willow Grove Park Mall on the 3rd level between the Sears and the food court, and at the Neshaminy Mall in the movie theater wing. Get updates on new merchandise and appearances at georgescollectibles.com, as well as George's Cards and Collectibles on Facebook.
You're improving so much on those.
Thank you. I was at one point, I'm just like, just keep going.
Just a little stumble. It's still good.
The show must go on, as Freddie Mercury and a lot of other people said.
Already the show goes on. Okay, yeah, enough of that. I heard enough of that theme over the course of the Winter Storm Jonas weekend.
Oof. Hey, it was fitting.
It was fitting and fun.
It's a good song.
It is. Anyway, we're going to take care of a little bit of business, come back, some more news and notes, your favorite segment still, a little bit to talk about with the factory as well, and where I was earlier today that kind of came from the adjustment of the time schedule here. A little bonus microphone action for yours truly. All that coming up. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, February 13. On this date in 1997, the WWF aired its Thursday Raw Thursday special. In the featured match, Rocky Maivia pinned Hunter Hearst Helmsley to win the Intercontinental Championship. Also on this show, Shawn Michaels forfeited the WWF Championship due to a knee injury in the infamous Lost My Smile speech. On this date in 2005, TNA held its Against All Odds pay-per-view. In the main event, Jeff Jarrett pinned Kevin Nash to retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2011, TNA held its Against All Odds pay-per-view. In the main event, Jeff Hardy defeated Mr. Anderson in a ladder match to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. This has been Today in Wrestling History, February 13.
You are listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon Derry.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry and Lucas Twitch DeSangro here with you on an anniversary edition, as it was 17 years ago today that this show debuted on WBCB in the form of Pro Wrestling Radio with Eric the Loose Cannon Gargiulo and Rob Feinstein of RF Video. It's man, how things have changed.
Yeah.
Now it's us two kooks.
That's one way to describe it.
Yeah, we're like two of the Three Stooges in the Kooks tour. Yeah, I know that I was gonna say that is a reference that maybe like 3 people out there are gonna get, but it's still funny because I don't know, I like Stooge stuff.
Me too.
One thing that a lot of people are presuming is some stoogery at best: the suspension of Titus O'Neil. That's right, WWE suspending Titus O'Neil for 60 days for what was declared unprofessional conduct. And Lucas is already about to lose his S over there. At the end of Monday Night Raw, just as the camera was fading to black following the Daniel Bryan retirement speech, O'Neil grabbed McMahon's arm playfully as Vince was walking to the back. It caused McMahon to turn around to confront O'Neil. WWE releasing a text message to the New York Post in which Titus acknowledged the severity of the mistake that he made. And the Post story also printed fan reaction tweets and even titled the story, "Fans Call Vince McMahon a Racist for Suspending Black Wrestler." Lucas, Go ahead and rant, because I can tell it's like on the tip of your tongue. But remember, we are live.
I completely understand. Here's the thing about the internet wrestling community. They're confused. And they don't understand that, and I feel like they would be backing the fact that, because it had to involve their indie darling, Daniel Bryan. And I don't mean that. That's not directed at Daniel Bryan. That's directed at the IWC. And if I was a comic book character, my two villains would be hipsters and wrestling fans' version of hipsters, the IWC.
Unnecessary racism, so sad.
It wasn't even unnecessary. It wasn't even racism. They were doing an intimate. I completely agree with. Now, granted, I like Titus O'Neil. I actually agree with WWE suspending him, because here's the thing: they were doing an intimate, like a nice, heartfelt, intimate moment, paying tribute to Daniel Bryan. And then, if you see the video, you clearly see that, Titus O'Neil was just horsing around a little bit. There's a time and a place to do that sort of stuff. And there's also a person you should do that. You probably shouldn't do that too, and that would be Vincent K. McMahon. Now, granted, I don't think that WWE should have, suspended him for 60 days. I think maybe 30 days would have been at the most, necessary.
Maybe it was just a way to get him off of WrestleMania, perhaps, to, again, kind of prove a point or send a message.
True, but I don't...
As far as professionalism and conduct and whatnot.
Granted, that is a good point. I just think, are there facts proving that what the internet fans think is true? Yes, but is this one of them? No, it's not. It's clearly Titus O'Neil was, being a jackwagon.
I agree with you, but I'm going to play devil's advocate. Do you think that if it was a white wrestler on the roster who had done the same thing, do you think the punishment would have been as severe?
Well, if it was John Cena, I don't think so.
But let's say it was, I don't know, Stardust, just to throw a name out there.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. I'm just, the only person who would really be able to answer that would be Vince McMahon, and, well, he's obviously not here.
Granted,
what do you mean? I'm everywhere. No,
yeah, I just think they should know better. All the wrestlers should know better than to do something like that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's see. We got a little bit of time left here. Well, I definitely got to mention this. If you missed last Saturday's Monster Factory event, boy, did you miss a lot. Amazing wrestling action. Twitch singing Sweet Child of Mine with his guitar. The debut of a new championship.
Oof.
Backstage behind-the-scenes tours for all in attendance and a whole bunch more. But don't fret, your next opportunity comes in just 14 short days.
Yeah.
As action returns to the world-famous Monster Factory, 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey, on February 27th. You'll see the Down Boys face Paid in Full in a rematch that saw Paid in Full score the upset win.
It was, the Down Boys did not see that coming.
And neither did the sound guy, from what I was told. Also, a triple threat supersonic #1 contender match between Nick Westgate, Anthony Bennett, and LSG, Leon St. Giovanni.
This
#1 contender match.
This is this coming Saturday. I apologize. I thought the triple threat. I was thinking last.
No, this is the upcoming card.
Yeah. I will say though, that triple threat match. That was
the one from the 6th
that
from this past Saturday.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, the Battle Royal, which I know you didn't fare as well as you have wanted to in that, but
again,
Anthony Green and Nick Westgate both getting thrown over by champion Mikey Webb, who wasn't even in the match, trying to not have a contender, but ended up becoming a triple threat match, and the three of them tore the house down. And now there's a triple threat supersonic #1 contender match between Westgate, Anthony Bennett, and LSG, and the winner will face Mikey Webb next month. Plus, Monster Factory Girls champion Deonna Purrazzo picks up her red-hot feud with Miranda Vianette as they square off with the title on the line.
Rematch again. Maybe Vianette's going to try and, MV's going to try and get her title back.
Also, the Monster Abyss defends the Monster Factory Heavyweight Championship against QT Marshall.
Yes, it is the Monster the Monster Factory Heavyweight Champion against, God's gift to professional wrestling. Also,
that should be a doozy.
Ooh, also part of the real life heels. I mean, you got two guys that just they captivate whenever they're in the ring.
They do. So you definitely don't want to get shut out for this. Get your tickets today for all of the action on February 27th at the world-famous Monster Factory, 541 Mantua Avenue, Paulsboro, New Jersey. You can get updates on all things Monster Factory at their website, monsterfactory.org, as well as on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Plus, check out past matches, behind-the-scenes video, and a heck of a lot more at themfnetwork.com.
Yeah, that's it's another, I have it. It's very fun. It's a lot of fun to watch, especially when you're bored on, like a Saturday. Maybe when you're done the wrestling show, or listening to the wrestling show, maybe you could go and sign up for that. Maybe see Lucas.
Okay, for a second, I thought you were trying to give a shout-out to Sam and Pittman or something. Possibly. I don't know.
No.
No, not this time? Okay.
Maybe just, watch me get eliminated again and again.
You have that on a loop at home, don't you?
I'm such a failure.
No, you're not. You're on this show.
Yeah, good point.
Anyway, it's about that time for
birthdays. That was really close to the mic. I apologize for any eardrums I've ruptured.
That's okay. We have a leveler that's attached to the thing, so you'll be all right.
People that are listening live, though.
Well, it goes through it. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Anyway, I got 5 of them for you.
Wow.
Yeah. On this date in 1939, Pierre Lafleur was born. Yes, we're going French-Canadian now, Hoser. The former WWE Tag Team Champion known as Lumberjack Pierre of the tag team the Yukon Lumberjacks. He paired with Yukon Eric to win the tag titles for a few months in 1978, beating Dino Bravo and Dominic DeNucci. Turned 77 today. Yeah, exactly. A little love to the late Nick Cataldi on that one. Figured you'd get a kick out of that. On this date in 1944, Gerald Norman Springer was born. The talk show host, former multiple-time guest host of Monday Night Raw, and host of Too Hot for TV on the WWE Network, known as Jerry Springer, turned 72 today.
I was actually watching that a couple days ago. It's actually it's quite entertaining.
Yeah, definitely. On this date in 1953, Akio Sato was born. The former WWE and All Japan wrestler, best known as Sato from the Orient Express, turned 63 today. A couple more here. On this date in 1962, Nicola Ann Roberts was born. The former women's wrestler and valet, best known as the Perfect 10 Baby Doll, turns 54 today. She was with Dusty for a little while, and she was with Flair in the, I want to say around 93. But yeah, she was mainly Dusty's valet as he was feuding with the Four Horsemen back in 85. And finally, on this date in 1971, Thomas James Laughlin was born. The former ECW and WWE superstar, multi-champion in both organizations, known as Tommy Dreamer, turns 45 today.
Heart and soul ECW, Michael.
Exactly. So happy birthday to all those involved. That's going to do it for us. 17 years down, and who the heck knows how many more to go.
A lot more.
I'm certainly hoping. Well, fortunately, Sean Lerman's got our back.
Yeah,
we've been fortunate to have program directors who have supported this program over the years.
Hey, who knows? Maybe.
Whether it was Paul Baroli, whether it was Matt Miro, or now Sean Lerman, and ones even prior to my arrival here whose names I may not be familiar with. But thanks to all of them, and most importantly, thanks to you, the listeners out there, because without you, we're just rambling like idiots for an hour. I mean, we're kind of doing that anyway, but at least there are people laughing at our idiocy.
Yeah.
Speaking of laughing at our idiocy, Ted Efaw's in studio. He's coming up next once his sides have healed up from laughing at our idiot. Is that your eye twitch again there, Lucas?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
I'm serious.
You are such a Richard. You know that?
I'm not.
All right. We got to get out of here. Yeah. Ted Efaw, he's up next, and we'll be back. Shoot, I'm used to going to Nutsy, but it's not 1 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock and all's well.
Bong.
There we go.
Serving you better than ever before. This is 1490 WBCB.